I think I could just say, let go and sit down. But I'm not going to, because today I'd like to read a poem by a Sufi poet from the 1600s. His name was Tukaran. And this poem is called, First He Looked Confused. I could not lie anymore, so I started to call my dog God. First he looked confused, then he started smiling. Then he even danced. I kept at it. Now he doesn't even bite. I'm wondering if this might work on people. Our affirmation for September, written by Reverend Jonathan, speaks to this divine alchemy that through our willingness we can shift our perception of ourself and the world. So I'm going to say this affirmation one time, then I'll invite you to say it with me. I embody a willing spirit to grow, learn, and thrive. So say that with me. I embody a willing spirit to grow, learn, and thrive. And say that again. I embody a willing spirit to grow, learn, and thrive. Keep going. In this holy moment, I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with doing that, and bring your focus onto your breath. The next time you breathe in, follow your breath right inside your body to your heart center. Remind yourself that there's only one being, and that being is omnipotent, omnipresent, all-pervading, the only being. The next time you exhale, know that there's no separation between you and God, and let your exhalation fill your whole being as you remember this truth, as you remember who you are. So breathing in, there's only God. Breathing out, remembering who you are. And notice what divine qualities may be emerging in you as you let go into this remembrance.
Every day and every way, God is so good. Because God is the nature of goodness. That's its nature, and it is the nature of each and every one of us to be that goodness unfolding. Now, that goodness sometimes doesn't look so good in the way that people are utilizing this goodness that is God. Just something to be aware of, But none of us in this room would ever let that goodness be demonstrated in ways that were not so good, right? Not a single one of us. No, we're always kind, always, without fail. No matter what, whenever we're driving down the street and somebody cuts us off, we're always kind about that, right? Yeah. This is the part where Beryl is doubting. Okay. There's something I want to start with today, and that is this phrase. We cannot force someone to hear a message they are not ready to receive, but we must never underestimate the power of planting a seed. We cannot force someone to hear a message they are not ready to receive, but we must never underestimate the power of planting a seed. I like to think of myself as someone who sows a lot of seeds in life. And not everybody's ready to hear the message that I have to offer, and that's okay. But I do know and trust that as I plant those seeds, that there is a garden that I am tending to that is growing and thriving no matter what. And part of that is because I live my life with a sense of willingness, which is, of course, the theme of this month. Willingness, an openness, a receptivity, an opportunity where I allow myself to be able to say yes to life, no matter what. And again, that can be hard sometimes because the experiences of life may seem counter to the thriving that I want to express and experience. But irrespective of what it looks like out there, I choose to live within the willingness, the openness, the receptivity. That is a choice I have made in my life. I didn't always live this way, but I choose to live this way now. And so it's a choice that I encourage each and every one of us to consider for ourselves. Now, I do contrast the idea of willingness with the concept of willpower, because they, of course, are different things. And, we have one of the 12 faculties of the divine, which are the 12 faculties of each and every one of us. We call them the 12 powers, but they're really the 12 faculties is what I would call them. One of them is will, and it gets so confused because a lot of people think of divine will as something where, well, now we're going to get in there, we're going to apply some divine will to our lives so that it unfolds in a particular way. And that actually may be verging on willpower, where we are trying to coerce the circumstances of our lives into being something rather than allowing ourselves the willingness to shine our divine light and trust that those circumstances flow into expression in a way that is beneficial, not just to us, but to every single person we encounter. So that's how I differentiate willingness from willpower. Willpower is a coercion. Willingness is that allowing. Willingness is what it takes for transformation to begin. Are you willing to step into the construct of infinite divine transformation? You're here, so I think that there is a willingness on the part of every single person who's here, every single person watching online. There is some level of willingness. And many of us come to these spiritual communities because we seek some form of transformation into a better life. I think about that time when I was feeling so disheartened by so much in my life. And, sometimes what happens is we have these spiritual communities, and we come here and we sing, God is so good, and we sing at the beginning, spread a little happiness, and we're so exuberant and joyful all the time that sometimes it's hard for people who are not feeling that same way to show up. And when they are not feeling that same way, that is exactly the time when they may require this spiritual community the most. And so if you ever feel disheartened, if you ever feel like something is going on in your life and you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't face that overly happy community with what's happening in my life, my desire is that we have created a culture here where people feel welcome to come and be uplifted from the circumstances of their life. That's what I desire. So never underestimate the power of the seed being planted. Never underestimate the power of that seed being planted and allowing us all to step into active spiritual transformation. Can we collectively support opening the door? This is our job. Can we collectively support opening the door to belonging? Can we collectively support opening the door to connection? Can we collectively support opening the door to transformation? Because that's what the power of the New Thought spiritual philosophy has been for me. It has been a place where I have found belonging. It has been a place where I have found connection and a place where I have found transformation. Life gets better together. Life gets better together. We are all in this together. Not a single one of us is a silo. Not a single one of us is alone. Many people approach spirituality in some way like consumers. I'm going to go to, I don't know why. This is one of the things that I sometimes do. I feel like we all walk like this in our lives. I'm going to go to the spiritual center on Sunday, and I'm going to hear what Reverend Jonathan has to say. And I'm going to go there because I feel like I might get something. What am I going to get? Or I might be inspired by something. I do desire inspiration, but sometimes we leave and we think, am I inspired? Did I get what I came here for? That is approaching spiritual community like a consumer. Transformation is not one and done. It's a lifelong experience. It's a lifelong experience. I'm going to be on this path of spiritual transformation. I would say until I transition from this plane into the next, but I think it's going to extend beyond that because I hold firm in my own heart. I believe myself in infinite life, irrespective of what the outer form looks like. It is not a one and done kind of deal. Enlightenment is not, I'm enlightened. It's, I'm enlightened. I'm enlightened. I'm enlightened. And I'm enlightening more and more every single day. There is no one thing that I could ever say on a Sunday that would ever lead us, any one of us, into transformation. For me, the path of new thought is about immersion. It is about consistency. It is about applying the principles in every aspect of life. And so when I say sometimes we come here and we experience Sundays like consumers, what am I going to get out of it? Perhaps the thing is, what am I going to give into it? Maybe a better question. There is more to be gained together. There is more to be gained together than feeling like silos and isolated from one another. I like to think of this community rather than a place where we consume, a place where we cooperate. I like to think of this community as a spiritual cooperative, not a transactional space. And I really want us to think about that idea of being a spiritual cooperative. What does it mean to live within or to exist within the construct of a cooperative? It means we are here for one another. We are here for one another. We gain from life, and we gain from our spiritual center what we are willing to give, because it is about being in that infinite circulation, that infinite flow. And we can all be contributors supporting the good of the whole. Each of us has gifts. Every single one of us has gifts to offer. We have the gifts of presence. Just our presence is a gift. I want you to consider that for a moment. Now this is a rhetorical question. I'm not asking for people to yell out answers. But do you feel like your presence is a gift to this thing called life? Well, yes, okay. And if you want to answer out loud, that's okay too. Do you believe that your presence is a gift to this thing called life? Yes. Do you believe that your love is a gift to this thing called life? Yes. Do you believe that your willingness to support others is a gift to this thing called life? Yes. Then are we willing to share those gifts no matter what? Yes. Because it must be unconditional. When we say love only, it is a call for unconditional love. When I say unconditional, I mean unconditional. Means we can't look at somebody and go, oh, I love you, except for this one little thing about you. I don't know why I'm looking at you, Wendy, because I love everything about you. But we don't have the luxury of finding the alternatives to that love. We just don't. Are we willing to share those gifts? Are we willing to share those gifts? It's like tending to a garden. We're all the gardeners in this thing called life. And when everyone tends to the garden, then everyone receives nourishment. It's just the way that it works. You know, Jesus used the phrase frequently, follow me. Jesus often said, follow me, right? He didn't say, come and listen to what I have to offer, as though he was out there allowing himself to be spiritually consumed. That was a weird way that got phrased. But he said, come with me, follow me, and belong to the infinite spiritual journey. I think we get lost in the frame of things sometimes. It's hard. I'm going to tell you what. It is hard running a spiritual center as a spiritual director, as a senior minister. It's hard because we have so many things beyond the spiritual well-being of community that we have to think about. I have to think about this building. I have to think about this property. I have to think about a staff. I have to think about all kinds of things. And boy, what if we got rid of all of that stuff and allowed ourselves to simply just say, come and belong to the journey of spiritual awakening. It's not to say that we don't have needs if we want to maintain a physical expression. Then we must tend to it. We must water it. We must allow it to be nurtured so it can help us grow. Belonging is more than showing up. It is being a part of something. It is participating and supporting something. I am here, I believe, to plant those seeds of spiritual nourishment. And I can't force anyone to understand, but I can continue to plant the seeds. Spiritual belonging is an ongoing journey. We belong to each other as travelers on this infinite journey, every single one of us. I have been part of many spiritual communities now. I think about the spiritual community of my origin in North Hollywood, California, back 20 years ago, and how invested I was in supporting that spiritual community in various ways that I could before I became a minister. And I worked there as the administrator for the community, and we grew and thrived in many, many ways. And when it was time for me to step beyond, and I became a minister and I was invited to go to Toronto, that was a community that I invited into nourishment and encouraged the community to remember that we are just that, common unity, a community, that we are there to support and nurture spiritually one another. And then when it was time for me to leave that, this sounds like I'm about to announce my retirement. I'm not announcing my retirement. I'm not announcing that I'm stepping away. I just want to be really clear because it seemed like that might be where I was going. But I have come here because this is the community that called for this interaction. I don't think I was called here to be the spiritual leader. I think I was called here to be the spiritual, I was going to say interactor. The spiritual fertilizer. Oh. Well, you know what fertilizer is made of. And a lot of people would say I was full of that. I'm here to be with you on this journey, to nurture, to allow ourselves to be nourished, and to share in that nourishment with you. I learn just as much from you as I hope you learn from me. And I don't use hope lightly. But I do. I learn as much from you in my interactions with every single one of you in various ways. I learn so much by participating in class. Today's message is the willingness to belong. That was the title of today's message. And so the question for me is to ask this: am I willing to give of myself? That's part of a willingness to belong. Am I willing to give of myself? And am I willing to be supported by those who are giving to me? Am I willing to be in that flow? Am I willing to be in that give and take? Am I willing to walk together? Are we willing to walk together? Spiritual growth is infinite. There is absolutely no destination. Oh, people don't want to hear that. They want to be like, oh, I was spiritually enlightened, and now I've got it, now I'm leaving. There's no destination. It is an ongoing, unfolding process. There is always more to discover. There's always more to discover. And that's one of the things I love about the New Thought spiritual philosophy, is it invites us into the construct in mind that says, yes, there's more to know. Because while we are all expressions of the infinite divine, we are aspects of the infinite divine, so there's always an infinite amount for us to know, more and more and more and more. When I returned from Spain 2 years ago, oh, here he goes. He's going to talk about the Camino. For those of you who are here for the first time, I walked the Camino de Santiago pilgrimage 2 years ago, a 500-mile walking pilgrimage, and it comes up once in a while. Because I'm still inspired by it. But when I returned from Spain 2 years ago, part of my message was this. In part, it was this. Life will ensure you walk at times with and without others. That's the nature of life. Sometimes we walk with people, sometimes we walk alone. Friends do come and go, but the bonds we create are forever. The bonds we create are forever. I created a bond with my friend Bill, who I met on the end of the first day, and we became fast friends, and we are friends to this day. I just saw him a couple weeks ago in Denver. I told you about that. My time here at Unity and in each spiritual community that I have been a part of has demonstrated those deep bonds, and I will forever be grateful for the experience of those deep bonds. The community here is not an end point, but is a companion. We can think of each other as companions on all of our paths. We get to walk this path together. The path we walk, each and every one of us, the path we walk is unique, and it should be. Spiritual growth and evolution is infinite, and there's always more to discover. Always. It's what keeps me going. It's what keeps me waking up each day, because I can wake up in the morning and go, God is so good. What is there for me to know today? What is there for me to know today? I love the affirmation. This is one of my common affirmations that I use quite a bit. The affirmation is this: I know nothing. Now, what can I know? I know nothing. Now, what can I know? And what is revealed to me through my interaction in life is what I can know. And I have a willingness to be able to look at the interactions I have in my life and say, yes, God is so good in this, and in this, and in this, and in this. Anyone feeling hardship? That's a rhetorical question. I appreciate those who did raise their hand, but it is a rhetorical question. I want to be really clear. Sometimes I get asked the question, why does God allow hardship? Well, first of all, God is not some disembodied thing out there that is deciding whether or not you are happy or are living hard times. Hardship is part of the experience. I've had times that are hard in my life. It is a practice to remember in all of that, God is so good. And irrespective of what the circumstances may look like in my life right here and right now, I am empowered in this moment to know that there is something other than this. Spirituality is not here to fix the problem. It is there and here for us to acknowledge that even in times of hardship, there is a willingness within each and every one of us to step beyond. Part of the way that we do that is through the activity of belonging. So if we have a willingness to belong, then we allow our experience of life to be dynamic, because belonging is not static. It is dynamic. It is ever deepening. So perhaps we can commit to being here for one another. That's the call. Can we commit to being here for one another today and in the ever unfolding future? And the question is, well, gosh, he wants us to do this. How can we do this? Oh, boy. I have a couple things for us to consider. Number one, show up fully. Show up fully. Last month we talked about authenticity. When I say show up fully as your authentic self. Not just physically, but spiritually and emotionally. The fullness of you is a gift. The physical, spiritual, and emotional fullness of you is a gift to this world. So show up fully. Another way that we can be there for one another is through contribution of various kinds. Contribution of our time, contribution of our energy, contribution of our creativity, contribution of our service, contribution of our finances. The way that we support each other is remembering that we're all in this together in various ways. We are here to contribute. We can also do this by supporting others right where they are and in their unfoldment. Because we may not be able to manipulate them into change, but never underestimate the seed being planted. Do not underestimate your prayer and your presence in the lives of the people around you. Also, stay open. Stay open to the infinite potential and possibilities. Stay open to growth. Stay open to new people. Stay open to new ideas. Stay open to inner divine guidance. I know nothing. Now, what can I know? That is a call to allow inner divine guidance to express itself in mind and in heart. Together, we consciously co-create. Every single one of us. We are consciously co-creating. We are co-creators of this thing called life, and we are co-creating the conditions for belonging right here, right now. The co-creation is the outflow of inner divinity, which we all share, each and every one of us. And so my desire is this, that we accept Unity of Tucson as a spiritual cooperative, a living, breathing community of shared support. That's what I'm calling for. To understand Unity of Tucson as a spiritual cooperative, a living, breathing community of shared support. Let us, please, be willing to belong to spirit, to community, and to love. Peace and blessings. You are magnificent. I'm going to invite you to consider this week's home practice. Here it comes. The home practice this week is to do this. Practice belonging by offering one small gift of yourself, your time, your presence, or your encouragement to someone in this community. Now, there's a caveat. True belonging is built on consent and respect. So please be sure your gift is welcome to the one who is receiving it. And notice how the simple willingness can open your heart to a deeper connection to everyone in this community. The home practice, of course, is posted here. You can take a picture of it. Many people take pictures of it with their phones. It is also posted on our website and now on Facebook every week. Thank you, Sherry. If you're on Facebook and follow Unity of Tucson, the home practice gets posted there as well. So that is the home practice for this week, and I'm delighted in your willingness to engage in this practice.